Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling something huge, India's biggest legal overhaul in, get this, over 150 years. We're going to break down 3 key changes that are fundamentally reshaping how criminal justice works in the country.
So imagine a rulebook that's been in place since 1860. That's a long time. Well, India just tore that colonial-era book up and wrote a new one. And this isn't just some minor update. It's a total rewrite of the laws that define crime and punishment for more than 1 billion people. So the big question is, what's actually different now?
Okay, so we're going to focus on 3 major shifts: how one of the toughest punishments works, what it even means to commit a crime against the nation, and of course the super controversial makeover of the old sedition law. Let's start with something that affects some of the most vulnerable people in the system: prisoners in solitary confinement.
Right, so first up, punishment in isolation. And this is a big deal because the new law doesn't just tweak the rules here, it completely redefines the limits and even the reasons for one of the most severe punishments out there.
We're talking about Kal Kotri, the dark cell. This is a punishment so intense it can literally break a person's mind. Being completely isolated can do some serious psychological damage. And that is exactly why these new, very specific rules are so important.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting. Why is solitary confinement even used? Well, it's kind of got this strange dual purpose. On one hand, you use it to protect everyone else from a really dangerous prisoner. But on the other hand, you can use it to protect that same prisoner from other inmates. A perfect example of this was the infamous Nirbhaya case, where the accused had to be isolated because they were in serious danger from other prisoners.
So check this out. The new code puts some really firm limits in place. It doesn't matter how long your sentence is, even if it's life in prison. There's now a cap on the total time you can spend in solitary. If your sentence is over a year, the absolute maximum is 3 months, period. Not a day longer.
And this is where you really see the focus on mental health. It's so simple, but so important. You can't just be thrown in a cell for weeks on end. The law now says you can be in for a maximum of 14 days at a time. And after that, you must get a break of at least 14 days. It's like a mandatory reset button, It's designed to give a person's mind a chance to recover and prevent a total psychological breakdown.
Okay, so we've seen how the new law protects individuals. But what about protecting the nation itself? This brings us to our second big change: how the law deals with crimes against the state.
So, when we're talking about something as serious as waging war against the country, the law isn't going to wait around for the final act. It's designed to jump in at the earliest possible stage. See, for most crimes, you're only punished for the attempt or the actual act. But here, every single step along the way is its own crime.
And this timeline lays it out perfectly. You can see how every stage is treated as a separate offense. It starts with the conspiracy, just planning it as a crime. Then comes preparation, like gathering weapons. That's a crime too. Then concealment, hiding the plan from the authorities. Yep, another crime. And all of this happens before the final act, the commission, even takes place. This whole structure lets the government step in way earlier.
And look, these aren't just some vague legal ideas. Let's make it real. The conspiracy part could be planning an attack from another country. Preparation? Think about the collection of weapons and ammo leading up to something like Operation Blue Star. Concealment? That could be something like hiding those weapons in trucks full of grain to get past a checkpoint. The new law makes every single one of those actions illegal.
All right, let's move on to the big one. This is probably the most controversial, most debated part of this whole legal makeover: the replacement of the old colonial-era sedition law.
So what was the big problem with the old sedition law? Well, it was incredibly vague. It was a tool left over from the British designed to shut down freedom fighters. It could be used to punish pretty much anything the government didn't like. The new law, Section 152, is supposed to fix that by getting rid of all that fuzzy, subjective language and focusing on very specific, clear threats. I love this quote because it just nails the problem. The old law was like asking, how much do you love me? 5 kilos or 3 kilos? It's absurd, right? How do you measure a feeling like disaffection? You can't, and that vagueness is what made it so easy to misuse. The new law tries to move away from policing feelings and towards punishing actual, tangible actions. And you can see that shift crystal clear right here. The old law punished things like hate, contempt, disaffection towards the government. Super vague, right? The new law punishes secession, armed rebellion, subversive activities.
It's a massive shift from policing emotions to criminalizing concrete actions that could actually break the country apart.
So what do these new words actually mean? Well, they're not random. They're very specific. Secession is about trying to break off and create a new country, like the Khalistan movement. Armed rebellion is pretty straightforward, using guns to overthrow the government, like Naxalite movements. Subversive activities is more subtle. It's about weakening the system from the inside, like militants radicalizing young people in Kashmir. And finally, encouraging separatist feelings targets things like the ULFA movement in Assam, which was based on ethnic division. You see, the law is being tailored for the threats of today.
And here's a really crucial update. The new law specifically calls out electronic communication and financial means. This is a huge acknowledgement that threats to a nation today aren't just about speeches and guns. They're about money being moved around anonymously and ideas spreading like wildfire online.
Okay, so we've gone through a lot. What does it all add up to? What's the big picture here?
Well, the theme that keeps popping up is this move away from broad, old-school colonial ideas to really specific, modern definitions. Whether it's solitary confinement or sedition, the goal seems to be the same: create clearer rules to prevent them from being misused and to make them relevant for the world we live in now.
And that really is the central question, isn't it? The whole point of this massive overhaul was to make things clearer and fairer, to get rid of these vague old laws that could be abused. But the big question that remains is, will more specific laws actually lead to fair justice? Or have we just swapped one set of problems for another, creating all new battlegrounds for lawyers to fight over? That's something that only time will tell, and something courts and citizens across India will be grappling with for years to come.